The Advance Care Directives Act is an important step forward for all of us that work in health in South Australia.
The most obvious bit you'll see is that the existing medical power of attorney, anticipatory direction and enduring power of guardianship has been simplified into one single Advance Care Directive form. This new form will allow individuals to appoint family, friends or caregivers as substitute decision makers to make decisions for a time in the future if they're unable.
But the more important bit is improved law for when we have to treat patients who have lost capacity to make decisions, such as when they're unconscious, mentally ill or near the end of life.
The Act promotes the self-determination of people receiving healthcare, and as a central principle, it asks everyone, substitute decision makers, family and doctors, to make decisions on behalf of the person as they would have done.
But it's also good law for all of us that work in health because it protects and supports good care and the way that we should be working with our patients. Hopefully, as we become more familiar with the new Act and also the 7-step pathway resuscitation plan, we'll be able to make better decisions about resuscitation and end-of-life care. You'll see that we'll be able to work with greater confidence and certainty in regard to respecting the wishes of the patients that we look after.
And to work in partnership with us, our families and our caregivers, as we need you to.
Good morning, how can I help you?
Hi, I'm Michael Novak and this is my daughter Sophie. I've been sent here from our patients to be admitted.
Michael, yes, I see. Dr. Lim phoned to let us know you were coming down. You've been an inpatient before?
Yes, unfortunately I've been one of your more frequent patients lately.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'll just check to make sure all your details are up to date. Now that all your other details are up to date, do you have an Advance Care Directive?
Yes, I always carry it with my medication form.
That's really helpful. The doctors will need a copy in your medical record, and I can arrange to have a certified copy made so you can keep the original.
Thank you.
Have you appointed a substitute decision maker in your Advance Care Directive?
Yes, my daughter Sophie here. Her details are on the ACD form there. You can copy them from the form if you like.
Is Sophie also your emergency contact?
No, my son James is the best contact in case of an emergency.
I had the day off work today to bring Dad in, but I'm a teacher, so quite often I don't have access to my phone during the day. But my brother James, he's easier to get in contact with. I'll just give you his number. So 0423 555 572.
Okay. Emergency contact James Novak 0423 555 572.
Yep, that's correct.
That's all I need. The orderly will be down shortly to take you up to the ward. You may take a seat back in the waiting area.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, Dr. Lim. Good timing. I was just about to page you. Now, look, I've just done a set of admission ops on Mr. Novak, and I've noticed that his rest rate is triggering an MDT review. He's sitting around 30. He seems really hypoxic. He's really agitated and really confused. So I popped him on some oxygen. Is he usually like this?
He's not normally confused.
Well, I've put him on 2 litres of oxygen. I've also noticed that he's febrile, 38.2, and his pulse is up a little bit of 90. Look, I think you really need to come and see him. The other thing too is he has an Advance Care Directive, which is in his notes, and he has a daughter by the name of Sophie, who I'm not sure if you've met already, but she's just stepped out to do a few things.
Yeah, let's have a look. Hi, Michael. How you going?
Well, what's this thing? I don't like it. What's it for?
Michael, that's just your oxygen. You need that one for your infection. You seem a little restless. Just let me have a listen to your chest. Yeah, it's concerning, isn't it? He's deteriorated quite a lot since I last saw him. But I think it's really important to know what treatment he would have wanted should he get worse. But at the moment, I think he's a bit too delirious to make his own decisions. Do you mind keeping an eye on him? Let me know if his rest rate gets worse or he's more agitated. I'm going to have a look at his Advance Care Directive and probably give Sophie a call.
Sure, I can do that. That's fine.
So I just spoke to Sophie and she was actually quite upset to hear that he deteriorated so quickly.
Okay.
But in any case, we had a chat about his treatment options, and although she wanted Michael to be for full resus, we had a look at his Advance Care Directive, which says he doesn't want to suffer. And so if we put ourselves in his shoes, she could see that his wishes would probably be more conservative than hers. And so at this stage, the plan is for antibiotics, salbutamol and prednisolone, but he's not for CPR, he's not for ICU, he's not for intubation, and not for Merkel's either.
Sure. Now, before you go, can you also make sure that you do some modifications on his RDR chart for me?
Yeah, I'll do that, and I'll make sure I write up some meds to make sure he's comfortable.
Thanks, Dr. Lim. That sounds like a really clear plan. Now look, if we need any clarity on what action to take, I'll make sure we give you a call. We want to make sure that Mr. Novak is as comfortable as possible.
So let's just have a chat to him, okay? Hi Michael, how you going? Michael, I had a chat to Sophie and she's going to be in soon. We're just going to make sure that the resus plan fits with the RDR chart. So could you just check the troponins at 9 o'clock?
Sure.
The next patient for you to be aware of is Michael Novak. He's a 65-year-old man, Q8 bed 12. UR number is 213213.
Oh yeah, Mr. Novak's always in.
Yeah, unfortunately he's in again for an infective exacerbation of COPD, and you might get called to see him because he's not for Merkel's. I admitted him today from OPD. You might know he's had a 6-month history of recurrent exacerbations and admissions, but unfortunately he deteriorated today quite rapidly. A chest x-ray has shown that he's got a right lower lobe pneumonia. When I saw him, his rest rate was up. An ABG showed a PO2 of 55 on 2 litres. And he was quite confused as well. Given that he was so confused and he might deteriorate further, I've had a chat to his daughter Sophie, who is his substitute decision maker. Although initially she wanted him to be for full resus, we had a look at his Advance Care Directive, which says he doesn't want to suffer, and therefore he's not for CPR, he's not for intubation, and he's not for ICU admission either. And like I said, he's not for Merkel's.
Is that documented in the resus plan?
Yep. Now, if he's to continue antibiotics at this stage, but if he deteriorates further, he might just be for comfort measures.
Okay, so would you recommend that I chart him for some PRN, morphine, clonazepam and hyoscine?
Yep, that sounds good, and that's all documented in his resus plan as well. His daughter Sophie should be informed of any changes.
Okay, good. Sounds like a clear plan.
Hi Michael, hi Sophie, how are you?
Oh, good. I think I'm ready to go.
That's wonderful news. I'm so glad that you've made such a good recovery. Now, do you have your discharge medications that I gave you? Just reminding you with your discharge medications that you must take your full script of your antibiotics. And also, do you have enough inhalers?
Yes, I have enough for the next 3 weeks.
That's wonderful. Now, before I forget, here is a copy of your resuscitation plan. Now, I would advise you that you keep that together with your Advance Care Directive and your list of medications, which you'll find in your discharge medication bag. It was a really good thing that you had your Advance Care Directive when you came in, and Sophie as a contact so that we could plan your care when you got so sick. I'm not sure if Dr. Lim has told you, but you have an appointment with your GP next Friday, and I've also got a copy of your outpatient appointment card. I'll make sure that Dr. Lim hands everything over to your GP, including your resuscitation plan and your discharge summary. Do you have any questions before I leave, Michael?
No, I'm just happy with the plan. I'm just glad I'm feeling a lot better, and I'd like to thank everyone involved.
And Sophie, do you have any questions?
No, just wanted to say thank you as well. Thanks to everybody for working with me to, sort out what Dad needed. And it was especially helpful when you guys said, to act as if I was walking in Dad's shoes. And yeah, that was helpful to help me figure out what he would want.
Thank you so much for that feedback, and I hope, Michael, we don't see you back here too soon.
Me too.
Take care.
Oh, hi, is that Dr. Moy? Yeah, are you the GP for Michael Novak? Yeah, so he's just been admitted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for an infective exacerbation of COPD. And I just wanted to hand over some details about his admission. Okay, yeah, so he was admitted just a couple of days ago.
Dr. Thomas, I've just been seeing a patient in the ED. They're a readmit under your bed card. Do you have a moment to discuss it with me?
Sure.
Look, it's a Mrs. Mary Turner. She's a 83-year-old woman. She's from home. She came in last month with a non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, and she was the lady that was on long-term steroids, and we couldn't work out why.
Yeah, I remember her well. How is she today?
Well, not doing so well. She's coming with a community-acquired pneumonia, and she's hypoxic and septic, and I'm really worried about her.
What's her mental state like?
She's disoriented, and she's drowsy. She's delirious from the pneumonia.
Okay. What do you think about her prognosis, John?
I think she could deteriorate. I think she's at a high risk of that. Her son Hugh was there, and I noticed that she had an enduring power of guardianship form in her folder, but also one of these new Advance Care Directives.
The new Advance Care Directive will supersede her previous paperwork, the enduring power of guardianship. It's new legislation. There's some key differences in the new legislation. It's actually quite interesting. It will help ensure that everyone can comply with a patient's wishes. It helps us do what the patient would have wanted. There's also greater protection for us. If Mary's made any statements and we know what she would want done, we can stand by that, and it gives us good protection, particularly in emergency situations. It's also nice because we're not really required to provide any treatment that wouldn't be of benefit to the patient. So it's in line with the Code of Conduct for medical practitioners. There's also some provisions for dispute. If there is a dispute with any of the people involved in making decisions, we can use the Office of the Public Advocate to help resolve that. Do you think she's got capacity?
No, she doesn't have decision-making capacity. She's grossly disoriented and delirious.
Right. Well, that means that the Advance Care Directive comes into effect now because she has not got capacity.
Well, I've read the form, and it appoints 2 substitute decision makers on the Advance Care Directive. So for medical decision makers, it mentions her son Hugh Turner, and there's Jan Turner for housing decision making.
Okay. Are there any clear other directions in there?
Yeah, so she specifically said here that she doesn't want to be resuscitated. She doesn't want intubation, ventilation, or CPR.
Okay, so we're going to have to consult Hugh about her treatment. He'll have to take into account her express wishes there and some of the important things she's stated about CPR and ventilation. The important thing is that we get Hugh to understand, if he doesn't already, that he has to really walk in her shoes to help make decisions on her behalf.
Okay. Well, Hugh's here now, and I was hoping that maybe we'd be able to discuss a resuscitation plan. Would you be available for that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Okay, John, how do you think that discussion went?
Well, I think Hugh understood his mum's wishes, and I think he understands the plan that we've made for his mum's care. He seemed pretty upset though.
Yeah, I think that's understandable. He understands exactly how unwell his mother is, and but I agree, we're all on the same page in terms of her treatment. We really now have to translate that into a resuscitation plan. Have you filled out one of these forms before?
Look, I actually haven't yet. Would you be able to go through it with me?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so we had a trigger, which was that Mrs. Turner was clinically deteriorating, and we'd assessed that she had a pneumonia with respiratory failure. We've seen that she has a new Advanced Care Directive, and we've also discussed it with her substitute decision maker, her son Hugh. And so we discussed the fact that she would be for antibiotics, but not for intubation or ventilation.
Yep, so that's the consultation part taken care of.
Yeah. I was a little bit confused by the discussion about the medical emergency response calls, though.
Well, we discussed with Hugh about the MER call. In light of the fact that she's not for ventilation and not for CPR, escalating her therapy in the event of a deterioration would be unlikely to be of any benefit to Mrs. Turner. Hugh really understood that very clearly, and I think he has a great wish, as do I, to prevent her from having unnecessary invasive treatments, lots of needles and extra IV fluids at an MER call.
Yeah.
I think what's important is that we have a plan to keep her comfortable if that deterioration does eventuate. And so, as we talked to Hugh about, we should be writing up sedation and analgesia appropriate for Mary if that's needed.
Well, sure, but she wanted antibiotics though.
Yeah, and that
He
was
agreed?
that was definitely agreed, and I'm happy to go with that as his role as a substitute decision maker. That was definitely appropriate. So if you're happy to chart up the antibiotics,
Yeah.
that would be good.
So I'll finish filling out the resuscitation form, and then I'll modify the RDR chart. Then I might just make sure the nursing staff are aware of the resuscitation plan. And then I might go just see Mrs. Turner and Hugh again and make sure that they're still comfortable.
I think that's a great idea. They might have some more questions. It's been a fairly hectic day, and you just want to make sure that they're fully comfortable with what we've planned and that there aren't any more things that they need to discuss at this stage.